Being disowned was meant to be a warning. But to me it was a gift. My husband's father once told him, "Marry her, and you'll lose your inheritance." My husband just smiled, signed the papers, and calmly said, "Keep it. I already have everything I need." A week later, they found out we were wealthier than they ever imagined. This is the story of how my husband gave up a multi-million-dollar inheritance for me, and how that choice didn't break him the way his family expected. It gave him the life and love they never believed he deserved, and how, just 1 week later, the truth came out, and they couldn't handle it. I'll tell it exactly as it happened, simple and honest. No extra drama. They gave us enough of that already. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. My dad worked as a mechanic, and my mom cleaned houses. We didn't have much money, but our home was full of love. I worked hard, paid my own way through college, earned my CPA, and landed a steady job doing taxes for small businesses. I met Leo at a corporate conference in Houston. We were both tired of the endless presentations, the forced networking, and the fake smiles. On the second day, we skipped the sessions, grabbed tacos, and spent the afternoon walking through a park. He made me laugh. He listened. He didn't care about status symbols, what people wore, what they drove, or who their parents were. The next week, he asked me out to dinner. I said yes. A year later, he proposed. And that's when things started to go downhill. Leo was from Austin. His dad, Roger, used to own a private equity firm. His mom, Sharon, was the kind of woman who wore pearls to breakfast and treated every conversation like a business negotiation. The first time I met them was at their house in Westlake Hills, a mansion with marble countertops and a wine cellar. The kind of place you'd expect. Sharon looked me up and down and said, "I didn't know Leo was dating a working girl." And no, she didn't mean that in a kind way. Roger shook my hand like I was pitching him a startup, not dating his son. He asked me question after question, like an interview. What school I went to, UTSA, what my parents did, they ran a small garage, whether we owned land, we didn't, and what my intentions were. That night, Leo apologized over and over. I told him it was fine, but it wasn't. I'd met cold people before, but this wasn't just cold, this was calculated. 6 months into our engagement, while Leo and I were planning a simple wedding, just something small around Austin, or the hill country, his family had already cut us off. One night, Leo sat beside me on the couch and handed me a letter. It was from his father's lawyer. The letter said if he married me, he'd be removed from the family trust. His voting shares in the family business would be revoked. His financial status in the estate would be erased. In simple terms, marry me and he'd lose everything. At the bottom of the letter was a blank space for his signature. If he signed, he agreed to walk away from it all. I looked at Leo, speechless. I didn't want to be the reason he lost everything, but he just smiled at me and said, without a second of hesitation, "Good." I never wanted to be tied to them anyway. And then, right there, he signed it. No doubts, no regrets. 3 months later, we got married in a little garden in Dripping Springs. My whole family came. My parents cried. My cousins danced. Leo's family, not a single one of them showed up. No calls, no texts, nothing. Roger didn't even pretend to care. Sharon posted a photo from a luxury spa in Santa Fe on the day of our wedding, with the caption, "Finally finding peace." Leo didn't show it, but I knew it stung. Still, he kept saying, "We'll build our own life, they can keep theirs." What his family never understood, and still doesn't, is that Leo was never like them. He didn't need their money, because he already had his own. Back in his early 20s, Leo had helped a friend launch a startup. Something in supply chain logistics. I never fully understood it, but Leo did everything: coding, business planning, even late-night debugging. When the company started growing, he left. He didn't want to get caught up in power struggles, but he kept 20. He never talked about it, so even I had no idea how big the company had become until after our wedding. 1 week after we got married, the company was acquired. Overnight, Leo's share was worth $22.4 million. He told me the news over breakfast. I thought he was joking, until he showed me the bank account balance. I cried, not because of the money, but because this man had signed away his family, his inheritance, and his so-called legacy for me, and never once mentioned that he already had more than what they'd threatened to take. He didn't need their wealth. He never even told me about his own, because he wanted me to understand he would have chosen me either way. That's when it hit me. They thought they were punishing him, but all they really did was give him freedom. A month later, we got invited to one of his cousin's weddings. Leo wanted to go. I didn't, but he told me, I want them to see we're not just fine, we're better. So we went. Roger spotted us across the reception hall. Drink in hand, fake smile on his face, he walked over to Leo and said, "Still surviving." Leo smiled right back and answered, "Doing more than that, Dad." Then Sharon joined us. She took my arm gently, as if she were offering kindness, and said, "You look healthy. Married life must suit you." I didn't respond. Roger leaned in closer to Leo, lowering his voice. "You can still walk away, son. We can fix this. There's a new clause in the trust. Marriages under a year can be voided without penalty. It's not too late." Leo didn't flinch. He just said, "Dad, I could buy your firm in cash and still have enough left to retire. Keep the trust. I don't need it." I never did. Roger went pale. Sharon looked like she'd swallowed her pride whole. We left before dessert was even served. Not long after that, the phone calls started. Former employees from Roger's firm were reaching out to Leo. Quiet layoffs, bad investments, lawsuits. The business had been falling apart. Investors had seen Leo's name removed from the trust, and assumed something serious was wrong behind the scenes. People pulled their money out. 2 major clients filed lawsuits. The firm collapsed. Roger tried to save it using personal assets, but it was too late. Their house went on the market. Their Aspen property sold, and then the calls from Sharon began. Emails, letters, "We miss you, we were wrong, family should stick together." Leo never replied. That's where things stand even now. It isn't over. Sharon still tries to wedge her way back into his life. Roger gives interviews, blaming the firm's collapse on market instability, but I have screenshots that tell a very different story. And me, I'm just living a quiet life with the man who chose love over legacy. A man who didn't need anyone's name or approval because he had already built his own success, humbly and quietly. A year passed. We bought a house in Lakeway, overlooking the hills. Nothing extravagant, but perfect for the life we were starting. I was pregnant. When I told Leo, he cried, the first time I'd ever seen him cry. Finally, we felt calm. Finally, we felt happy. Or so I thought. Turns out, peace doesn't sit well with people who are addicted to control. We were having a small baby shower at a friend's ranch, just family, close friends, barbecue and simple decorations, nothing flashy, no social media posts. Then one of my cousins came up to me, looking pale. "There's a lady outside, in a Lexus. She says she's your mother-in-law." My stomach dropped. I wasn't ready. Not for her. Leo saw my face, stood up and walked outside without saying a word. I watched through the window. Sharon stepped out of the car in high heels, a pastel pink suit, and oversized sunglasses, dressed like she was arriving at a charity gala, not her disowned son's baby shower. She held a gift basket. Leo didn't take it. He didn't yell either. He just stood there, arms crossed, listening. Then he came back inside and said, "She's gone." And that was that. Until we found the basket, left sitting on the hood of our car. Inside there was an envelope, Sharon's handwriting, soft, curly, trying too hard to look gentle. The letter read, "I want to meet my grandchild. Let's be adults now. The past doesn't matter. Family is what matters." Tucked beneath it was a cashier's check for $50,000. No note explaining it, just the check. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because they still believed everything could be bought. We never cashed. It's still in a drawer, just in case we ever need a reminder of what we walked away from. 3 weeks later, Leo got an alert from one of his company's security systems. Someone had tried to access internal financial files using a hotel IP address in downtown Austin. The attempt failed, but the system flagged it. The login used was an old admin credential, one that had been deactivated years ago. Only one person had ever used it. Noah's cousin, who once interned at Roger's firm. Leo dug deeper and found out Sharon had contacted Noah's cousin, months earlier, under the pretense of discussing tech investments. She'd used him to get access. She wanted proof of Leo's wealth. Why? Because she was planning to challenge the trust in court, claiming Leo had signed the documents under emotional stress, and didn't fully understand what he was giving up. But that was a lie. Leo signed those papers willingly, with his own attorney. It was airtight. The fact that she'd gone so far, sneaking into financial records, using people, risking someone else's career, showed us this wasn't about family anymore. This was about control. 2 months later, we were served with legal papers. Roger, Sharon and their lawyer were petitioning to review and reopen the trust conditions. Their claim, that the changes were rushed, made under emotional strain, and that I had manipulated Leo into signing. They were trying to paint me as some kind of gold digger, a puppet master. Somehow, I managed to convince Leo to walk away. The funny part is, they didn't even know how much he actually had, so we hired a real lawyer, the same one who had handled the structuring of Leo's company buyout. After reviewing all the documents, she looked at us and said, "This is going to get messy, but they don't really have a solid case." Just as we were about to file our official response, our lawyer got a call from the court clerk. The case hadn't been dropped, it had been paused. We were confused. Then about a week later, a package arrived at our door. No name, no return address. Inside was a flash drive and a short note. "You need to see what they've really been doing." Leo plugged it into an old laptop, just to be safe. There were 3 video files, security camera footage from inside a law office. In the first clip, you could see Sharon and Roger, sitting in a sleek conference room, across from their lawyer. The audio wasn't perfect, but clear enough to catch parts of the conversation. Roger said, "If we can show that the girl's parents have a financial history, debts, maybe even bankruptcy, could that help suggest a motive?" Sharon added, "We need to make her look desperate, unstable, like she's struggling." Their lawyer didn't shut them down. Instead, they calmly replied, "We can build a narrative." In the second clip, Roger said, he was always the quiet type, easy to sway. She saw that, and knew exactly how to handle him. And Sharon's words hit even harder. "That baby is our last chance to fix this. If we can get custody." I stopped the video. Leo just sat there, staring at the screen, completely silent. That's when it all made sense. This wasn't about inheritance, or business, or money. It was about our child. They were planning to use the legal case to gather evidence, twist the facts, and make us look unfit as parents. Their goal was custody. They wanted to paint Leo as someone who'd been manipulated, and push the idea that our child deserved to be raised by someone else. Our lawyer contacted the state bar, and the firm is now under investigation. We're filing our own case too, but we're doing it quietly. Leo changed all our contact details. We upgraded our home security, installed cameras at every entrance, and started making plans to disappear if we had to. Because this wasn't just family tension anymore. This crossed a line. This was personal, and they had just started a fight they didn't even know had already begun. And there's more. The custody scheme was just the start. They assumed we wouldn't fight back, but they forgot we don't need them, and we're not afraid anymore. About a month after we saw those videos, I still couldn't sleep. Sharon's voice kept replaying in my mind. "That baby is our last chance to fix this." It wasn't just the words, but the way she said it, like our child was some kind of asset, a solution to their problems. Leo grew even quieter, keeping everything bottled up. Then something happened that made it all boil over. We're not particularly religious, but my parents are. One day, they asked if we'd consider having the baby baptized. Leo agreed, thinking it would be a kind way to honor the people who had always stood by us. We planned a small private ceremony at the same little church in San Antonio, where my parents had once gotten married. Just close family and friends. But Sharon found out, and honestly that part still makes me sick to my stomach. 2 days before the ceremony, I noticed Leo's aunt, his mom's sister, had started commenting on my social media. All sweet things, which was odd because she had been silent for years. "She's just trying to reconnect," Leo said that night. I posted a photo of the baby's baptism gown. Nothing fancy, just a cute, handmade one from my grandmother. The next morning, Sharon posted the exact same photo on her private Facebook, with the caption, "Can't wait to see my grandson this Sunday." I felt like my blood turned cold. She wasn't invited. Neither was Roger. Neither was anyone from their side. We tried calling Leo's aunt, but there was no answer. She'd given them everything. It was a warm Sunday, and we were early. My mom was helping me adjust the baby's bow. Leo seemed tense, like he was waiting for something to go wrong. And it did. 15 minutes before the ceremony, a black car pulled up. Out stepped Sharon, Roger and two people we didn't recognize, dressed like lawyers. My dad blocked the door and told them to leave. Sharon smiled and said, "This is our family. You can't keep us from him forever." Leo came outside. I'll never forget what happened next. Leo said, "Leave, you don't belong here." Sharon replied, "You made that choice," but Leo answered, "No, he deserves peace, not chaos." Roger tried. "We made mistakes, but we built this family. You don't get to erase us." Leo's words were sharp. "You didn't build anything. You controlled it. You bought it. You never loved it." Then Sharon snapped, "You wouldn't even have your company if I hadn't begged Noah's dad to take you seriously. We got you in the room. We made you." Everyone froze. Even Roger looked shocked. "Leo, you just said what everyone was thinking." Sharon had used her connections years ago to help Noah's startup get attention. She never told Leo. She always made it sound like he built everything on his own. But now she couldn't stand the idea of him succeeding without her. So she said it out loud. "You're not smart enough to have done this on your own." The whole front lawn went quiet. People started stepping back. My mom came outside, as did the pastor. Then out of nowhere, Noah stepped forward from the parking lot. He'd driven in from Austin as a surprise. He wasn't supposed to be here yet. Noah looked at Sharon and said, "You think you got me in the room? We avoided your name every time your reputation came up. We distanced ourselves from you. You didn't help us. You almost sank us." Then he turned to Lee. "The only reason we survived our second year was because of your pivot idea. You're the reason we made it." Sharon's face dropped. Then Noah turned to me and said, "Thank you for never asking Leo to be anything but himself. I've never seen him more free." Sharon left without another word. 2 weeks later, they filed a custody motion, but it didn't go anywhere. No judge wanted to touch it. The videos, the emails, Noah's testimony, all of it proved what they really wanted. Control. They wanted to use our baby to win back their power. But it didn't work. Leo hasn't spoken to his parents since, not even when Roger had a minor stroke last year. Sharon still sends birthday cards, but they're never signed, just with printed messages. His aunt cut off contact completely. My parents, bless them, still ask if we'll forgive them eventually. I don't answer. It's not about the money, or the lawsuits, or even the public drama. What hurts the most is realizing they never loved him the way he deserved. No matter how much he gave, it was never enough for them. Leo still dreams about them sometimes. I can tell when he wakes up. His fists are clenched, but he never talks about it. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if they'll ever really go away. People like that don't stop easily. But I do know this. We didn't fight to be rich. We fought to be free, and now we may not have the big houses, the trust fund, or the polished last name, but we have each other. We have our baby. We have peace. And sometimes, that's everything. They thought cutting him off would break him, but all it did was set us free.